Okay, so right now I am with Kira. We are having way too much fun right
Just
now.
like miniature Reggie creatures.
And you're building your dance floor. So,
Yeah, this is how the dance floor starts and Runnin. It's this it's even a little bit more contained than this, but the floor opens and the player um first they get Reggie and Reggie appears in this kind of amazing purple dome. He comes out of the ground and this lifts off and it's gonna attach my creature again to him. And he appears and the dome flies away. And Reggie continues to dance. And then and so I'm just going to put him here for now. And then these pink boxes highlight these three featured dancers, two of our choreographers actually, Ani Taj and Amy O'Neill, and our third dancer, Sabina. And they come up and they're dancing near the player, and Reggie's grooving and John's been on the stage with him, and John like flies out to this other
yeah.
far away DJ position. And then I was sort of showing like this is so cool about what you can do in Facebook Spaces, how it's almost like instant replay, and you get like you do in a sports video, and then
Oh, yeah,
like
that's so
these
true.
platforms fly out to the corners, and the entire space opens up and the stage becomes much bigger and the platforms move, and so we start to get these reveals in the space around the players, so that the space keeps growing, and then what you begin to know as a dance floor, what you think is your reality, continues to change. And
Yeah.
this dance floor remains here, but then we get new dance floors, and those dance floors come up, all around the player, and we get these like magical objects that look kind of like they came out of the 80s or from you know these TV shows that we all used to watch, Saved by the Bell. We get these like
Yes,
whimsical floating objects around us.
totally.
Um, it's and so all of those things actually become dance floors that you can go to.
Right. I remember dancing on the ceiling. I was like dancing on this
Dancing
Billy
for
Ocean,
sure.
right? And then
Exactly.
I was on the side. I'm like, this is so cool.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
And then I
It's
didn't know if you were supposed to like touch people that
you
I
can
know I was doing that and they just like just a burst of color just went through them like
burst
all
of
of that
light and energy. Yep, right. Like nothing is wrong for
just
you to
like
do in this
this.
space. Everything is playful.
Yes. But how did you come up with that?
The project evolved. So I started, my original project was this idea that we would be transported through Reggie's music through a portal, and we'd be kind of like the White Rabbit in Alice in Wonderland. We'd be chasing after him through these different dance spaces. So the project was a little bit more linear, but still interactive, until we landed in a final room where all of the dancers came together and we had this kind of big dance party scene.
Mhm.
And then from following Reggie through these portals, that got dialed down into instead of having lots of portals, it's like, well, let's just have one portal and we'll put that in a record store. I knew Reggie was a big fan of nostalgic spaces, the 1980s, 1990s, and the one of the blockbusters had just closed, one of the last blockbusters in the US. And so I told him this story and I said, what if we designed this record space? Like, what if the entire experience starts in this record store, and you, because you love the 80s, will go back in time to this place that feels really familiar, and then that becomes the portal, and I'll take us into this dance scene where the world continues to open up and the player can dance and interact with these incredible volumetric figures.
And what made you decide to choose choreographers? Because I mean, you could have just picked dancers, but you picked a couple choreographers for it.
Yeah, I've worked with Ani Taj on some 360 video projects before, but I really wanted to work with her in a more interactive way in VR.
Mhm.
And she is a dancer and choreographer. She does both. And she works spatially really well. So I'd wanted to see her work translate into VR
Mhm.
because I felt like she would just understand it really quickly. And that that was just an incredible collaboration. And she is also a mutual colleague of Reggie's. And then Reggie also has been working with Amy O'Neill for many years. So we
Mm.
brought both choreographers on together and they work together. They have different styles, but they blended in this incredible, burst of high energy dance, freestyle movement, and this kind of blend of both of their skill sets came together. And then they put those moves and those styles on the dancers.
Wow. What is it like to direct that? I mean, that's gotta be,
I'm gonna move our
yeah,
world a little bit here.
100%.
um, what is it like to direct that? So we did some rehearsals
Hmm.
and we created these loops for the dancers because I wasn't quite sure how many takes we would get throughout the day. And the way that you're working with this technology is you're kind of shooting in these bursts,
Hmm.
which Ani's choreography and Amy's work, they both fit really well into that kind of format. So we did some rehearsals with the dancers and we practiced some specifically choreographed loops for them, and then we also made sure that we did these some time for freestyle movement, which could be more improvised, but again, everything had to start and stop on loops.
Wow. I mean, that would be so hard for me. I don't know if I could ever do that. That's a tough job there's so many components when there's dance. There was a girl I was telling you about in Alt Space. She created a game or is choreographing Rave Runner, and they talk about the flow state and like different kinds of emotions you're trying to evoke, like kind of what you were saying.
Mm.
So to have to direct that, and you're doing it in bursts and you're doing it in a dome where you can't really see the whole picture, right? Because it's that green screen that you had.
You're using your imagination a lot.
Hmm.
And the great thing about being able to film in such a large space like we had at the stage at Intel Studios is that we could have all of the dancers dance together in this space. So that's pretty rare when you're doing volumetric capture. And
Hmm.
we had a cast of 12 dancers and then Reggie. So we've got 13 people dancing in this space together. But what you're able to do then is I could go in and give them some direction and remind them about the kind of world that I'm envisioning that they're going to be appearing in,
Mm.
and talk to them about what the space feels like, and remember that there's a player inside. They should always be creating this kind of energy, looking outwards to welcome the player that's coming into the space, so that once the player is inserted in this incredible 360-degree volumetric three-dimensional world, everywhere they look, they feel welcomed by these dancers around them. So that was their, continuous motivation and direction. And then I was trying to paint the picture for them in bits and spurts about how some of these sequences were going to fit into this 3D universe. Of course, when you're filming out of order.
Right.
So, we would shoot different scenes at different times, and just kind of keeping them mentally in check and remembering how I was going to put these pieces together once we got it into the development process with all of the engineers.
Wow. So you went into the Oculus Launchpad you mentioned 2 times, right?
Yeah, that's right. Oculus, two consecutive years.
Do you feel like there's some things that you learned there that helped you?
I think the biggest part about Oculus and what they're creating is the sense of community. So you get to meet other creators that are
Mm.
working in this space, that are trying different tools, that are, trying to innovate, trying to experiment. You're also meeting people that are, we don't always have the same level of resources as some
Hmm.
people that are working at other companies. So to be able to be an independent creator in the space, or as you're growing your own studio, you're meeting peers that are doing, going through the same struggles as you are, trying to take the same kinds of risks, trying to use the medium for a place of a new type of storytelling. I think, a storytelling that we haven't seen in cinema or in games. VR is such a different, incredible, open space where you can try out your wildest dreams. I mean, this whole universe, really came to me in a dream. It started with aspects of mechanics that I wanted to play with, and then connecting these dots, and how, I wrote 3 versions of this script, and like that final version, tying all these pieces together, really came from a dream.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like just thinking about this dance floor, what a cool dream, by the way. I want to have dreams like this. So was Sundance the first time you showed Runnin'?
Yes. Sundance was our world premiere.
Oh, okay. So what kind of feedback did you get?
The best kind of feedback. I mean, we finally had a chance to put this world on someone's head, take them inside this tiny universe, take them down this sort of nostalgic memory lane trip through the record store and then to this incredible surreal dance scene where they could feel free to let loose and explore and feel the rhythm of the Wahada music. That was a total dream to be able to do that, to share with people at such a prestigious festival. That was really special.
And it was so well taken. And then going to South by to, be awarded for it. Because working as an independent must be really hard.
Definitely when you're working, I mean, you're always working with a collaborative team. I think you can't work in VR unless you're working with other collaborators. There's just so many skill sets that are necessary to build these kinds of worlds, to build the interactivity that I wanted to see. So certainly it takes much more than just one person tinkering in a toolbox.
Right.
But to be able to take it off of the desktop and get it into an installation space where people could then feel comfortable to dance and move and let themselves dive deep into their own psyche and imagination. That's what we live for, is to take those experiences and connect them to people. And that's something that we were able to do at Sundance. So, I dreamed for many months of seeing myself put a headset on someone and then them taking it off and just smiling. And that was the best
that's awesome
experience that we could have. We had that at Sundance and then again at South by, and you too.
I was just going to say, I was smiling after. Everyone who I watched was laughing or smiling during and after, because you didn't know what to expect, And
exactly.
How did you choose the logo or the colors? Because they're happy colors.
They're very happy colors. Yeah, I wanted it to live in a warm color palette. That's something that we were trying to figure out with, capturing these volumetric assets, what's going to shoot well against a green screen. And then also, how is this going to work when we're inside this universe and we're playing with these shaders and lighting? There's a lot of different questions to have. So the tendency, I think, is to lean dark, but I knew that I wanted the experience to feel really warm and let the player feel welcome. And Reggie was totally into that. He was also about this warmer color palette. So I sent him a bunch of color palettes to take a look at. And we landed on both of our favorite was this, really like in this kind of magenta, hot pink landscape. And then that's the world that we were able to build with our concept artist, Robbie Tilton.
I love every single color in there. I think I use it with everything I do. So what did it feel like when you finally put the headset on someone the first time and then they did smile after? What was that feeling like?
It starts with, I think, the same kind of energy as when you're like getting on a stage to give a musical performance and you're rehearsing for so long, or for a dancer, you're practicing these movements, or an actor, you're rehearsing your lines and you hope the audience is going to feel moved by that, but you just don't know. So, we would put the headset on and I would just stand there in the corner, hoping that I'm not interacting with the base stations around us, canceling any of the light waves that are being sent to each other. I'm just sort of like, trying to be as tiny as I can in the space and see, first where, and this is a similar thing that I watch in playtesting, how are they exploring the space? Where is their attention going? Are they feeling like they want to interact with things? How do we get them to actually move? Movement in VR is a really tricky thing to do. And some people prefer to just teleport to the music in rhythm and explore the space that way. And that's totally fine. I think that that's a really valid, exciting experience to have, because you get to jump and change perspective. You get to go in these places that you can't do in the real world. So that was just as exciting for me to see that. And then if people wanted to get their bodies into it and really move and feel the space and interact with the dancers, that is like another level. And I feel like when I got to watch people doing that and engaging with the piece and these ways from teleporting to interacting with the dancers and their voxels to then fully engaging their bodies to the music in the space, I was like, wow, okay, that was the best award that you could possibly have because you're giving someone the experience that you've dreamed of giving them.
Wow. Literally dreamed of.
Literally.